In today's video, I'm going to speak to you guys about why mastering flow state is probably the most important thing that you can do if you want to get to where it is that you want to be. And I think a lot of people, they misinterpret what they need to do because they don't understand what flow state is. A lot of people get trapped in thinking they're doing enough, but they actually don't. Yeah. So if you understand what flow state is and what exactly it looks like, you can pinpoint exactly where you're falling short when it comes to applying yourself. You know, if when you wake up and decide that today's the day that you're gonna work towards your goals, yeah, and you do that every day, but you don't see results after a while, it's because you're misunderstanding what it actually takes, and what you're doing isn't enough. Okay, what you're doing isn't enough. And once you understand flow state, it will be so much clearer. My definition of flow state is successfully tuning yourself to the frequency of the thing that you're trying to do. Okay, that is my definition of flow state. Okay, and understanding this is going to explain to you exactly why you're failing to do what it is that you want to do. Okay, because a lot of people are lazy, and that's just a fact. A lot of people, including me, are or have been lazy. Okay, they think that what the steps they take towards achieving their goals is enough. They think they're doing enough, and then they get confused when they don't see any substantial progress. Okay, now you have to understand that if you're inherently lazy, yeah, you need to be able to identify that, and you need to be able to take a step outside of yourself and pinpoint exactly where you become lazy. Because a lot of laziness is subconsciously ingrained in your brain over years and years and years of reacting to things in a certain way. Okay, most people probably get it from when they were in school. Okay, they get assigned work in class, they do the bare minimum to finish it, or they get assigned homework and they do the bare minimum to not get a detention when they hand it in. Okay, and then this builds a sort of like psychological habit of every single time you need to every single time you need to do something, you just do the bare minimum. Like, you do enough for yourself to be satisfied, but you don't do enough for it to actually be substantial progress towards what it is that you want to do. Okay, and that's where flow state comes in, because if you can successfully tune your mind to the frequency of what you're trying to do and stay on that frequency, you will, the only thing you can do is make progress, because you're literally embodying the thing that you want to do. Okay, your entire being has become what it is that you're trying to do for the time that you're trying to sit down and do it. Yeah, so for example, for me, one of my creative outputs is making music. Okay, so let's just say that this is me. Okay, and I want to make music. Okay, my brain, yeah, has to signal to the universe, yeah, my brain has to signal to the universe that I'm trying to make music right now. Okay, and after 10, 15, 20 minutes, sometimes longer, sometimes it happens really quickly, other times it happens after a while, but eventually the frequency of the reality where I'm making music effortlessly, it starts coming back to my brain, and then I now become the frequency, or I put myself into the reality of the version of me that's making music effortlessly. Okay, because I've cast that out into the universe. Okay, you have to understand, yeah, that in the universe, okay, everything is happening all at once. So there's an infinite number of realities where everything could be happening. Okay, there's a reality where you're a drug addict, there's a reality where you're a multi-millionaire, there's a reality where you're a, like, I don't know, you name it, it's there. Okay, and because the universe is because the universe is everywhere happening, because everything in the universe is happening all at once, my brain is like a radio that can tune into the frequency of the reality that I desire. Okay, so in this case, I'm tuning myself to the music reality, and then that reality gets drawn back into me. Okay, like attracts like. If you like, a better way to understand it is you become the people that you hang around. Okay, well, it's the same thing metaphysically. Okay, you become the thing that you manifest with your brain. So if you're manifesting making music, you're going to eventually become that. Okay, and this is what flow state looks like. Okay, this is what flow state looks like. Flow state is what happens when you are successfully tuned in to the reality that you're trying to tune into, and you're able to maintain that for a long period of time. Everything becomes effortless. It's like you and the thing that you're trying to do, they become one. Yeah, it's like you do stuff without even thinking. I'm sure you've all experienced it. Some people experience it with sport. They're playing sport and they don't even think about the decisions that they make. They just make the decisions. Yeah, and it's the same thing. So in understanding this, okay, you now need to understand that it takes time. Okay, you can't just sit down, or you can't just begin whatever it is you want to do and automatically become that thing instantly, like in a split second. That's not how it works. Okay, you have to sit and wait for it to come to you. Okay, we're not like we're not that, I mean, we're good, but we're not that good. Like, we need to embody it for a while without it coming to us, and then eventually it becomes us. So what a lot of people, they do, especially the lazy people, is they they think that the piece of work they've done is valid because physically it meets the bare minimum criteria for being called valid. But metaphysically, you haven't sat in the flow state at all. So the work is not actually of the frequency that you're trying to embody in that work. Does that make sense? If if you can't be patient enough to sit down and devote enough time to get into flow state, yeah, the work that you produce is not going to be from the frequency that you want it to be from. It's going to be from the frequency of laziness and trying to do the bare minimum. And that's going to show itself in the work. And so that's why after so long of doing it, you still haven't made any progress. Like, you need to be able to sit in the frequency of it and do the work for hours, because then it's authentically of that frequency. It's authentically of exactly what you want it to be. Okay, like, I can't sit down and make music if I'm not in flow state and then show it to people and be proud of it, because I know that that music didn't come from the frequency of me making good music in flow state. It came from the frequency of me just being lazy and rushing the work. You know what I mean? So you need to understand flow state. You need to learn how to identify and put yourself into flow state over and over and over again. And only then can you start to see results in what it is that you're trying to do. It's that simple. But so many people overlook it because they've ingrained these lazy habits into their subconscious mind, and they don't see that what they're doing is just the bare minimum. It's not authentic of the thing that you're trying to do. It's just lazy. So next time you sit down and ask yourself, is what I've just done laziness and the bare minimum, or is it born from hours or even days of authentic flow state work that's from the frequency of what I'm trying to do? Ask yourself that, and then I promise you, you'll be able to make so much more progress, because you'll be able to put aside the version of you that just does the bare minimum, and you'll be able to evolve yourself into someone who does authentic work, like real good hard work.